There is a particular weight to the grief we cannot name, not the sharp pain of losing what you loved, but the quieter, more shapeless ache of mourning what never came to pass. You may have felt it on slow mornings, or in the hush that follows disappointment, the sense of standing in a vacant plaza at dusk, all the benches empty, the air stirring litter that no one will claim. This is not a wound that bleeds, but a hollow that echoes. The life you imagined, the one that shimmered just beyond your grasp, has faded, but its ghost lingers in the corners of your mind, haunting you with silent suggestions of might have been. To grieve lost futures is to walk among ruins that were never built, brushing your hand along the outlines of doors that were never opened. Some losses are clean and final, marked by funerals, goodbyes, or the closing of a heavy door. But this kind of sorrow is ambiguous, formless. There is no clear ending, only the slow collapse of continuity, the dawning realization that the story you told yourself has quietly unraveled. It can feel as if a picture frame has broken, not from a fall, but from gentle neglect, its glass splitting under the strain of holding an image that could not last. Often, we only notice this grief when we stumble over it, when a stray photograph, a snippet of conversation, or a sudden sunset cracks open the vault of our expectations. These moments arrive quietly, like wind through an empty field, rustling what remains of our hopes. If you find yourself drawn to memories of what never happened, you are not lost or broken. You are simply standing at the crossroads of all the lives you might have lived, listening to the silence where music once threatened to begin. Much of modern advice urges us to move on, to let go, as if the heart were a machine that can be reset with the flick of a switch. But grief that has no object, no clear beginning or end, cannot be swept away so easily. It is more like fog than rain. It seeps into the cracks, clings to your clothing, and blurs the outlines of your days. You may wonder, why am I sad? Nothing has happened. Yet the absence itself is its own happening, a loss that leaves no fingerprints, only an impression in the dust. Imagine for a moment a city at twilight. The last rays of the sun stretch long shadows across pavements that remember every footstep. Windows glow briefly, then darken. Somewhere, a final parting hug unfolds in the distance, so far away you cannot hear the words, only witness the shape of farewell. This is how ambiguous grief feels, not a violent ending, but a gentle, irreversible shift. The people and dreams you once expected to meet are not coming. The plaza is empty, yet you remain, holding the memory of a crowd that never gathered. It is tempting to fill this space with noise, distractions, busyness, or even anger at yourself for feeling so much over so little, but you are not overreacting. The brain is wired to seek patterns, to build stories out of fragments. When the narrative you depended on dissolves, even if it was only ever imagined, something inside you crumples. Each expectation was a thread in your inner tapestry. When enough of them snap, the whole fabric shifts and sags. Grieving what never was is not indulgence. It is the honest reckoning required to weave something new. Sometimes you may catch yourself looking sideways at your own life, as if peering through broken glass at parallel timelines. There, just out of reach, is the job you didn't take, the city you never moved to, the relationship that never blossomed. Each possibility runs alongside your present, close enough to haunt but never to touch. This is not a sign of failure, but of imagination. Only those who dream deeply can feel the ache of unlived stories. Yet, beneath the ache, there is a kind of freedom. When we let ourselves acknowledge the empty plaza, we stop fighting the silence and start listening to it. Even the wind has something to say. All those unlived futures, the ones you mourn, were built from your longing, your vision, your hunger for meaning. Their collapse does not erase you, it simply returns you to the wide, open field of now, where the grass bends to the breeze and the sky is immense with possibility. Grief without a clear cause is a strange companion. It lingers at the edge of waking, slipping into your thoughts like mist curling around old stone. You may feel foolish naming it, as if the world would scoff. What have you lost, really? But your sadness is real. It is the shadow cast by hope, the mark left by your own courage in dreaming. The future you never had is gone, but the heart that imagined it remains. There is a kind of mercy in recognizing this. Just as a sunset over a silent city signals the end of one day and the promise of another, so too does grief mark the boundary between what was possible and what is now real. You are not required to forget or to erase your longing. Instead, you are invited to rest within it, to allow the soft realization to settle like dust in the golden hour. Some days, this resting is the hardest part. To sit still in the vacant plaza, to resist the urge to flee or rebuild, takes quiet bravery. Here, you encounter not only your lost dreams, but the self who dreamed them, the child, the lover, the wanderer, the rebel. Each left a trace in your bones. The plaza is not only empty, it is sacred, a testament to your capacity to hope. There is no need to rush this process. The world will urge you to find closure, as if grief were a door you could shut with a satisfying click. But ambiguous grief is more like an old field. Things grow wild, seeds carried on the wind, some never sprouting, others surprising you with sudden shoots. Letting go is not forgetting. It is trusting that something new can grow in the places once reserved for other dreams. You might ask, how do I honor what never was without becoming trapped in regret? The answer is gentler than you think. You do not need to build monuments to lost futures, nor pretend they never mattered. Instead, you can hold them lightly, like petals scattered in the wind, beautiful for a moment, then gone. If you feel the urge to mourn, let yourself do so. Then, when you are ready, turn your face to the breeze and breathe. Notice how the air moves through the empty field. There is movement, even here. Each blade of grass bends differently. Each thread of loss has its own shape. You are allowed, in this stillness, to feel both sadness and relief. The collapse of imagined continuity can be a release, the end of a story that no longer needs to be carried. In its place, you may find a gentle rest, a calm stillness that is not resignation, but acceptance. Acceptance is not the same as approval. You do not have to like what you have lost, nor pretend the plaza was never meant to be filled, but you can acknowledge the truth of your experience. I wanted something that did not happen, and that wanting shaped me. Even as the sun sets over the skyline, painting the empty streets with gold, you are allowed to linger in the light that remains. Perhaps you wonder, will the ache ever truly fade? In time, its sharpness softens. Grief, even of the ambiguous kind, cycles like seasons. Some days, the wind rises and memories swirl. On others, the plaza is still and your heart feels light. There is no deadline, no finish line. You are simply learning to live with a new landscape, one marked by absence, but also by quiet beauty. It helps to remember that you are not alone in this. Every person you pass on the street carries their own gallery of broken frames, their own silent farewells. We are all, in one way or another, grieving the life we never had. The details differ, but the shape of the longing is universal, a shared language spoken in sighs and glances, in the hush of late afternoons. If you close your eyes, you may sense the presence of others who stand with you in the plaza. Each of us brings our own hopes, our own losses, and together we form a silent congregation. There is comfort in knowing that your grief is neither unique nor shameful. It is the thread that binds you to the rest of humanity, the proof that you dared to imagine more. Sometimes the urge to fix or solve this grief is itself a kind of impatience. What if, instead, you approached it as a practice, a slow, mindful tending of your own inner field? Today, try sitting quietly for 5 minutes, letting your thoughts drift without judgment. Notice which futures tug at your sleeve, and instead of pushing them away, greet them with a silent nod. You may find that their power begins to soften when you acknowledge them rather than wrestle with them. Over time, these small acts of attention can transform your relationship to what's missing. The vacant plaza becomes less a place of exile and more a site of gentle return. Here, you learn to trust the wisdom of your own sadness, not as a flaw, but as a compass, pointing towards what matters most. The future you never had is gone, but the longing it left behind can still guide you. Analogies rise to meet us in this space. Grieving lost futures is like watching a train pull away from the platform, knowing you will never board. You stand, suitcase in hand, feeling the rumble fade. Yet as the tracks clear, you notice other paths branching off, routes you never considered, journeys that begin with your very next step. There may be days when the ache feels heavy, when regret pools at your feet like rainwater in the plaza's cracks. On these days, kindness is essential. Speak to yourself as you would to a friend who has just said goodbye for the last time, with patience, warmth, and the gentle assurance that it is all right to linger for a while before moving on. The world is in no hurry, and neither are you. Sometimes it is only from a distance that we can truly see the shape of our longing. Like watching a long parting hug from afar, we witness our own farewells with a measure of detachment and grace. This perspective softens the edges, allowing us to hold both the sadness and the beauty of what never was. In this way, grief becomes a kind of blessing, a reminder of the depth of our yearning and the resilience of our hope. The spiritual traditions of the world are full of guidance for mourning what is clear and defined, but ambiguous grief is rarely named in ritual or song, yet in its quiet way, it is just as holy. The empty plaza, the wind in the field, the broken frame, these are sacred spaces, holding the light of all that might have been. To sit within them is to honor not only your own story, but the mystery of being alive. As you learn to rest in this space, you may discover new forms of gratitude, not for the losses themselves, but for the openness they create. Each collapsed continuity is an invitation to begin again, to dream new dreams from the honest ground of what is. The future is unwritten. The plaza, though empty, is not closed. There is a paradox here. The more gently you hold your lost futures, the less they hold you. In the calm stillness of acceptance, you find room to breathe, to stretch, to imagine once more. The ache becomes a companion, not a jailer. The field sways, the city glows, and you realize that letting go is not a vanishing, but a transformation. If you find yourself returning to the same memories, replaying the same scenes, know that this is part of the process. The mind circles what it cannot resolve, but with each cycle, the charge lessens, the edges blur. You are not failing to move on, you are metabolizing your experience, turning loss into understanding, sorrow into space. Somewhere, a new day is beginning. The sun lifts above the skyline, illuminating the plaza where no one waits. In the soft light, you see your own reflection, not as a figure haunted by absence, but as someone shaped by longing, softened by loss, and capable, still, of wonder. The future you once mourned is gone, but you remain, wide awake, breathing in the calm that follows letting go. So rest here a while, if you need to. Let the wind move through you. Let the silence settle. There is no rush, no verdict to pronounce. In time, you will rise and walk forward, carrying the wisdom of all your unlived lives. The plaza may remain empty, but your heart is full, a quiet testament to the beauty of dreams and the gentle power of release. Thank you for watching and for walking this path alongside me. If you'd like to support the channel, please like and subscribe. For high-resolution art, music, and full transcripts, consider joining me on Patreon. Until then, carry these reflections gently with you, and I hope to see you again in the next video.